Alright, what is up everyone? So today we are going to be talking about should we still be buying Bitcoins and other altcoins. So let's let the stream populate a little bit more and then let's get into it. So today is going to be one of those days where it's very important. I think a lot of people are dying to find out whether or not we should still be buying in a bear market. So firstly, let me give a personal experience from the old world when I was buying into a policy that was invested in the China market and the Asian equity market. So this was when I was very, very young. Okay, that was, I think, let me see, that was back in 2007. Now, why 2007 is kinda important was for the fact that I started my very first job, okay, and it was the height of the China market, right? At that time, China just opened up its doors to free trade and the world, and everyone was wanting to buy into China. So I didn't know much about the economy back then. I didn't know much about finance back then, okay, because I started out as a membership consultant in a gym. So I didn't have any knowledge whatsoever, zero. So it's pretty much the same like how a lot of people these days are starting out in the crypto markets with very little to no knowledge. Okay, so let me just share. So I bought into a investment link plan. Okay, so it's called an ILP from a friend that introduced it to me. So I was like, okay, whatever. Let's just get started. At that time, I had a little bit of savings that I put in. I think I remembered it was about $8,000. So when that happened, it was a lump sum. So I invested the whole thing at the high, literally at the high, guys. Okay, so fast forward 2018. Okay, as you know, I didn't do any kind of dollar cost averaging, which I should have. If I had done a dollar cost averaging, it would have been way better than doing a lump sum at the high of 2007. This was the Asian equity market and China equity funds, by the way. Okay, so it's a mixed composition of two funds that are going to be invested in so-called blue chip stocks within Asia and China. Okay, so that being said, fast forward, now it's 2018. I just received my statement. I'm up 30%. Now this 30% actually happened. This 30% actually happened, I think, in the past 2 years. Nothing to do with the years before that. So what I'm just trying to say is that if you are someone who is stuck in buying Bitcoin at a high, okay, you can actually consider doing a dollar cost averaging to bring down your overall average, right? So that you are able to benefit from the uptrend. Because right now we are clearly in a bear market. Why are we in a bear market? Because we already lost a good at least 50 to 60% of the total market cap from the all-time high. Although the all-time high honestly didn't sustain itself for too long. Okay, we were at 800 billion. I think we touched it, and then after that it came down very rapidly. But what I'm just trying to say is that the moral of the story is do a dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin. So if you're watching this for the very first time, you don't know what dollar cost averaging is, okay, I will show you right now. So it's very simple. Let's say you're only interested in Bitcoin. Okay, and this is a one-day chart, by the way, guys. Okay, don't be intimidated by the technical indicators and whatnot. Just look at the one-day chart. Okay, so say for example, you know, prior to 2017, Bitcoin was relatively in a lull, as you can see, right? This is a one day candle, very no volatility whatsoever. And then after that, we had 2017. You know, Bitcoin went up to a high of 5,000. People started selling off, and then after that, it ramped up again, and then now we're having this whole scenario occur. So right now, a lot of people are very skeptical. People are saying, oh, you know, Bitcoin may drop down back to 5,000. I'll definitely be buying back at 5,000. How about 6,000? So fine, whatever is your game plan or your situation, every month, I'm assuming that everyone would receive a salary. I hope no one quit their day job, okay, to step into crypto, because if you did, you might want to start reapplying again, because if we are going to be continuously in a bear market, then you have to find a way of sustaining yourself. And don't forget, guys, you still want to be in this market. Because why? The big boys are stepping in. The institutions are already starting to buy up platforms and positioning themselves strategically in this market. Just recently, Circle, which Goldman Sachs has a share of Circle, has just purchased up Poloniex. Obviously, they want their system and their database, right? So they probably want to have a made system, or at least a done up system that works, okay? And then from then, what they're going to do is revamp it and then maybe offer it to their private clients, because Goldman Sachs usually doesn't handle retail. So obviously they're going to buy up the system, buy up the database or whatnot, and then from then start moving into it. Okay, so maybe Circle is going to offer some kind of retail because since Gemini is doing it actively for the retail market, it's such a big pie. The Winklevoss twins are making so much money, why not? Okay, so this is what's going to be happening. So right now, my suggestion is whatever is the play, okay, that you have. If you're unsure, you have never bought any altcoins. Now, altcoins are a different animal altogether. That is probably we can cover in the later episode. But let's focus on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin, the three popular coins, and of course our very recent Bitcoin Cash that appeared, I think, last year. Okay, so if you have read the news, Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash could potentially be listed on Gemini. Now, Gemini is one of the most popular exchanges, if not probably can compare to Coinbase. I think Coinbase is bigger, but I think Gemini is ramping up its activity. So that is why they're offering Litecoin and probably Bitcoin Cash in the near future. So I don't want you guys to get distracted. Right now, just focus on the main three pairs: Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum. So every month, when you get your basic salary, the meaning of dollar cost averaging is actually very simple. Just buy up whatever you are comfortable to invest in this market. So for example, if your basic salary is $3,000, you want to dedicate 10% to Bitcoin, Litecoin, or Ethereum, you can do that. See, the reason why you want to dedicate 10% is so that you can sleep well at night. Because I realize that a lot of people are having a lot of fear, stress when they buy into this market. So when they're in this situation, they cannot think clearly. It affects them in their work and it affects them emotionally. It may affect their relationships. Let's not put yourself in this scenario. Bitcoin is here to stay. Whatever the news is saying, you've read many articles about Bitcoin dying and whatnot, Bitcoin is here to stay. There is a change of hands. Also, we have the Mt. Gox lawyer intending to liquidate another 162K. Think of it logically, guys. The 162K Bitcoins that are going to be liquidated in the next 12 months. So what? If every individual, 80,000 individuals buying up 2 Bitcoins each, it's gone. See? No worries. Don't panic when people want to sell it. When people sell it, buy it up. You see, the more decentralized a cryptocurrency is, the better, because it's not meant to be held by one individual or a few individuals. You see, and when China actually is going to be launching their I think their own state coin, which I mentioned many months ago. Okay, so that was what is forcing out all the Bitcoins and all the miners. So Bitmain just opened up their office. I think a repair facility in Russia already. That was another news that we caught on. So it's very simple. Just make sure that every month you just dedicate a good sum of money to your cryptocurrency portfolio. That way you can sleep safe at night. Now, I don't have to give you much levels. You know why? Because at the end of the day, if you're buying every month, okay, you don't really have to care too much about technical analysis, right? Because not everyone has time. Sure, you may want to learn. We do offer all these courses, and we do talk about technical analysis very extensively in our premium group. But honestly speaking, if you're someone who is just wanting to be a passive investor, now passive investors meaning that you just don't really care much about market movements, that is the best. Because as the economy is moving very rapidly, you don't really want to understand too much about what the heck blockchain is and how the developments are. I mean, there are very few people who have time, guys. I know that there are people who have time to go and visit the blockchain conferences. That is great. In fact, you should educate yourself. But if you don't have time and you just want to participate, you've heard it from friends for a very long time. You know that Bitcoin went up to 20,000. Thank goodness you didn't buy. You were hesitant. Now, you know, Bitcoin is now at 9,413. It has lost practically 60% of its value. It is time to start looking at it already, because if you don't, then you will never get in. It's just simple as that. Okay, so next thing, of course, we can look at Ethereum. Well, it didn't really go up that high. You know, it's not like ridiculously at $2,000 or whatever. In fact, it's only at sub $715. But of course, there is a lot of volatility in Ethereum. As we know, we also have what you call Vitalik. Vitalik is definitely someone who doesn't want to pump his coin. He is always coming on to Twitter, saying that how volatile cryptocurrencies are, you shouldn't be speculating on cryptocurrencies, and I think that is very good. It is the way to go. Okay, and what he's doing is that because he knows that his platform is broken. Okay, honestly, Ethereum is broken, guys. It's just that they were first out of the gate. So many ICOs were able to build on it, right? So naturally, the price kind of is sustaining, but just so you know, people who created their ICO, especially at the peak of the market, are not doing so well at the moment, because firstly, they have to exit out the early investors. That's one. So a portion of that is going out to marketing and exiting early investors. So let's assume they have 50% left. Then when they close off their ICO, they lost value, right? So they lost value in terms of the Ethereum itself. So they are left with probably half of whatever half they have. You see where I'm coming from? So can they continue developing? Do they still have the funds to continue developing, or were they prudent enough and had the strategy to hedge to US dollars or fiat when they close off the ICO? Usually, more often than not, you shouldn't do that, because if you haven't closed off your ICO and you decide to hedge to US dollars, you're going to be in big trouble, right? Because you could have failed to meet your soft cap. If you fail to meet your soft cap, you have to return whatever you raised to your retail investors and even to the syndicate poolers, right? But more often than not, most are saying that they successfully raised money. I don't believe that, because the market sentiment is very, very poor. In fact, these days, a lot of the syndicates are coming together to actually want to raise money, because it's harder now. It's more challenging because a lot of their investments are stuck, right? And because these days all the ICO projects are not able to pay the hefty fees for Binance. Also, they are not able to pay. Also, sometimes if you want to go through other exchanges, they have probably very stringent listing criterias. Okay, so for example, Huobi has a four-round voting mechanism come vetting system. 4 rounds before they can even be considered for listing, right? Then Binance, I think it's pretty straightforward. They also have a voting system, but I think you also can pay to get listed. So all these things are happening, and everyone only wants to list on the top exchanges. No one lists on Bittrex anymore. No one really wants to list on Poloniex or what was the previous? Yeah, in fact, there's so few exchanges that are noteworthy. Okay, so this is the issue, right? So we have to stick with the ones that have the most volume and allow us to go in and out. So I can strongly recommend Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin, and go and open a Gemini account. Now, if you don't know what a Gemini account is, just go to www.gemini.com, right? And then from then you will be able to start your account. But bear in mind that because many people are starting up a Gemini account, it will take some time before you are going to be able to get your account approved. But once you have your account approved, I think it's going to be very easy. The spreads are actually very transparent. Okay, let me just pull up a little bit of my let me see whether I can show you guys. Okay, I just started trading a little bit on Gemini. So I will just show you guys what I've been working on. So I just started a small little account on Gemini. I really like it because I look at the interface, although it doesn't have the charts like we used to always see, but as you can see, the spread is very transparent. It tells you the spread that is happening. Okay, the spread is happening at the moment, and then from then you just have the buy and sell. So you have the buy, and then you have the sell. it's pretty straightforward. So for example, if you wanted to buy BTC, you just go to buy BTC, and then I have a little bit of fiat there, and then you can see the spread. You see the spread is always changing. I think that's the good thing about it. It's always very, very transparent. So that being said, I think if you do not know anything about cryptocurrencies, you do not know anything about technical analysis or whatnot, you can very easily jump into buying into cryptocurrencies from a very simplistic point of view. Just buy low, sell high, guys. And then if you do a little bit of charting, I think RSI, like for example, you take note of RSI. RSI is basically whether a cryptocurrency is overbought or oversold, and then from then you have Fibonacci's, simple stuff. Just keep it simple, and I think you should be doing very, very well in this market. Don't lose track of the main goal, guys. The main goal is always to make sure that you are going to make money in this market, regardless of whether is it a bear or bull. Another thing that we discussed yesterday was, would you consider a side hustle? Now, why have a side hustle? A lot of students are trapped in this market. In fact, some working adults are also trapped. So if you're trapped in this market at the moment because everything is tanking, you're stuck, and you still want to participate, but your basic salary from your 9 to 5 is already paying for your bills. Okay, that means you're already tapped out. But you still need to find money for to learn, right? You can learn from YouTube. I think there are a lot of good YouTubers that are providing great resources for charting, investing. There's people like Node Investor, Data Dash. All these guys are great at technical analysis. They talk about technical analysis all the time. So you can actually consider these free ways of learning. But at the end of the day, I think the juiciest bits are always in the paid groups, right? It always makes sense. You're always learning the best and get the most interaction and immersion from the paid group. So Crypto Grinders, of course, has the paid group, which always opens up registration on the 15th of every month. And then from then, what you guys can do is start learning. Now, alternatively, go and look for a side hustle. Now, what's a side hustle? Side hustle is basically you're going to spend your weekends, or at least after work, if you have time, selling some skills. And make sure that whatever skills that you are intending to promote or whatnot is always a passion, because in the initial stages of your side hustle, you are definitely not going to make much money. But eventually, once you get the swing of it, you start having a database of clients, you create your website, you start getting a database of clients, you start generating an additional income. The good thing about your side hustle is that potentially you could accept Bitcoin. So you don't have to accept US dollars and buy Bitcoin, right? You can immediately accept Bitcoin. That can start to be your little portfolio. So you are actually generating income from your side hustle. At the same time, you are still participating in the altcoin market or the Bitcoin market or the crypto market. And from there, you are able to build this steady portfolio throughout this bear market because you are offering sweat equity, right? So for example, maybe you're good at creating websites, you're great at creating music, you're an animator, you're a video editor, something like that, or you're a photographer. All these things, and if you're open to even saying that, hey, I accept Bitcoin as payment, then these people who you come across are like, wow, you're so forward thinking, you're accepting Bitcoin? Like, what's that? And it gives you an opportunity to create and connect and create a community with your clients. And because they are also interested potentially in this space, or at least have heard of Bitcoin, you are starting to generate an interest group. And that's how everything gets started, you see? So a lot of people are still very unaware of this space. Trust me when I say this, it's just so that, YouTube and, the people who have been following us, CG, for so long, of course, you guys all know about crypto, but your people around you, the friends around you, honestly speaking, they still don't know. And also with this recent crash that happened in the market, a lot of people are actually very fearful now. They were like, whoa, thank goodness I'm not touching this very volatile thing. I don't even understand it. I've been hearing SEC sending out subpoena after subpoena on all these ICOs. I'm sure this whole space is a scam. Ryan is an idiot, for sharing with me that Bitcoin is great at 15,000. Luckily I didn't listen to his advice. It doesn't matter, because what matters most is that we understand where this industry is going. There are good actors, there are going to be bad actors. There's going to be solid projects that are worth investing in. There's going to be the money grabs that are going to be out there. So long story short, guys, stay safe, stay invested, don't lose sight of the goal. When you invest in Bitcoins, remember, there are only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoins out there in the world. So don't forget to make sure you start downloading your wallet and start your Gemini account and get ready to buy your very first Bitcoins. This is the time, guys. Don't lose track. See ya.